we know how common this really is in public schools at the elementary school, middle school, or high school level? How do we know?
Anytime you see,
because it must depend on the specific district and the individual school.
Definitely varies.
How do we know?
Well, anytime you see, like, anytime you would see a Black Lives Matter flag, or you would see the Pride Progress flag, that's a real good
public school.
Oh yeah, you'd see that stuff. They were flying them outside of the. They were flying them outside of the outside of embassies all over the world. The U.S. had Black Lives Matter, and
I just wonder, like, how. I don't know. Like, I don't know how common this is because I never like went
common enough where the FBI would say, "Look, we're going to go ahead and look into Americans." I never went to public school,
so I don't know if this is like localized in certain intensely
I don't think
areas.
We've talked on the show before about folks in rural area who's had to live in rural areas.
Yeah.
Because in the rural areas, because it's getting there from the ladies, or sorry, liberal women, they go to college, they do their teacher thing, and they bring their thought and process their critical theory over to any school they can, and if they live in the rural area, they bring it to the rural area homeland, so they're teaching in their own rural oral homeland. And even if it's like 20%, 10%, whatever, get it the F out of here.
Why is it always the librarians? That's what I want to know.
Dude,
I feel like it's always a librarian.
And teachers too, but it's
there was a rural school, and the first inkling of it where we lived in Oklahoma was like a librarian.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. It was just like, because you said went off to school, came back, and was like, well, I'm changing how the books are, and these are the books that are allowed and not allowed.
That part of that problem is that these things aren't just taught in schools. They first were taught in schools of education. So when you had teachers going to school to learn to be teachers, they were told this is how you should teach. This all comes back to this guy named Paulo Freire, and he has a book called The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and that was put into it was written in like the early 80s, and it made it, or maybe the 70s, but it went through the schools of education like wildfire in the 80s and 90s. Okay, and now all of the teachers learn a Marxist way of teaching. And so your situation isn't that they're teaching again. This is why this is so dishonest. It's not that they're teaching CRT. It's that all the teachers, when they're taught how to teach, they're taught these are the methods, and all of the methods are critical race theory. They're all critical. They're all to have a critical lens, and a critical lens means to be critical of the status quo and to look for the oppressed people, and those people must be centered. The marginalized people must be centered, and the people at the center must be made to go to the margin.
So if it's that systemic, what does this do?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, what does it do?
Again, the most important thing in this, in my opinion, is the Project 1776, or the 1776 Commission, which says you cannot teach a curriculum that characterizes the United States of America as an evil.
Only if they're funded by the federal government, or if they get federal government, because Trump can't like make everyone do everything. Right?
Fair enough. Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Like with this, I don't want to look at this as a solve.
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's still a lot of work to do.
There are people that are teaching this outside the curriculum too, which we're going to address to Mary as well. Like, people are definitely just teaching this to their kids as if this is truth, because this is like, you have to, again, it's all about framing how you think about it. This is a religion to them. This is the most important thing that is driving every single aspect of their daily life. It's like, we have to push this because they literally think that there are Nazis everywhere else around them that they're saying this. And now, unfortunately, because of the Groypers and stuff, there are people that literally say this stuff and have these iconographs or whatever. So, it's like Phil's exactly saying. It's like, it's so deep. We already think about the world in a leftist framework altogether already. So, like, I don't know. I don't know.
That's on the bright side, though. I don't think the kids are buying it.
No. Amen. You're right.
Definitely not.
They're pushing. They're definitely pushing back. There's a group of them that are pushing back, and it tends to be like young white guys, because young white guys are the ones that they're told, "Hey, look, you're the problem. You're the whole problem." Blah blah blah. And there's a certain, and we were talking about this last night. We talked last night. There's like, this dude was talking. I read a tweet where a guy was talking about. He's like, I saw this kid that I knew, and he was upset because he kept being told that he was he was the worst, he was the root of all evil, he's a racist, blah blah blah, and now he's a girl. And so what happens is, and he transitioned, which is part of the reason why kids are transitioning. Because if you've got kids and you tell them, you're the problem, you're white, you're the problem, you're a male, you're the
Why
problem,
would you want to be that?
you're always the bad person, blah, blah, blah. You have two options. You can either say F you and go and become far right and say, we're going to win at whatever cost. We're going to take over because all this stuff has to be burnt to the ground because it's all corrupt. Or if you're not that guy, then you say, well, I could always go ahead and call myself a girl and get all the kudos and everyone.
Right.
It's literally because the LGBT lobby or the LGBT identity is something that anyone can take up the mantle of.
Right.
If you're a normal straight white kid, right, normal straight white dude, you can say, okay, I can either be considered the bad guy all the time around all of my friend groups. I can always be called all the names, or I can say that I'm poly, or I'm bi, or I can say that I'm a trans woman, trans girl, and I can get all kinds of attention, and I can get all kinds of kudos, and blah blah blah. So it's literally they're given the option. You can either assimilate, and the LGBT mantle will allow you to absolve yourself of the sin, because again, it's like a religion. It will either absolve you of the sin, or you can embrace your inner dark side, and you can go ahead and say, well, F you, me and my friends are going to hang out, and we're going to say whatever we want, and we can be as crass and rude and say all the terrible things, and it's fine around us. And if we ever get the chance to take over, we're going to take over, and we're going to burn it down.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.